Do you love yourself? Do you love yourself? And when I say that, do you love yourself unconditionally? Throughout the good, the bad? It's kind of a difficult question to answer, right? Like maybe some of you are absolutely not. I mean, why do you think I'm even listening to your podcast in the first place? Others are maybe, of course I do. Well, I think. It's a difficult one to answer because I believe that it's all well and good when life is going really, really well for us. We wake up in the morning next to some drop dead gorgeous hunk. Go to the mirror, we're super pretty. We're going to the job that we love, making shit ton of money. We're going out for brunch with our girls tomorrow, and then we're jet setting next week to the Maldives. Life's pretty good right then, isn't it? But what about the bad days? Because unconditional love is throughout the good and the bad. So just to get you thinking a little bit more, I've got a few questions for you. Do you love yourself when you go to bed on your own at night after a long, hard day? Do you love yourself when you wake up in the morning, you've got a huge spot on your face, your hair won't go right, you're bloated? Do you love yourself when the guy that you've been dating for a couple of weeks now, you thought it was going really, really well, and then all of a sudden he ghosts you? Do you still love yourself then? Do you love yourself when your boss calls you into the office at work and tells you about a bunch of stuff that you've done wrong? They're really disappointed in you. Then it gets a little bit harder, doesn't it? And that is why I'm recording this podcast today. Which, full disclosure, of course, I recorded 2 episodes originally back in April and May. And I only just launched back at the end of August. I have actually got another episode recorded ready with my friend Kim, but I believe that this episode is super, super vital. It has to come first, and it will all make sense why it has to come before everything else. I actually believe that this step should be the first step, without a shadow of a doubt, of every person's growth and development spiritual journey. It's like the age-old saying, I wish I knew then what I know now. But when I started my journey back in 2020, I wish I knew this information. I really, really do. It would have made things a lot easier if I'd have done this so much sooner. So I was actually speaking to one of my friends in my DMs the other day who listens to my podcast because I'd mentioned that I was doing an episode about forgiveness and self-love. And it's funny because I was telling her, I thought I had self-love. I thought I had it 2 years ago, last year. I thought I had self-love 6 months ago. But when I look back today on where I was 6 months ago, no, I did not. I would not have been in the relationship that I was in if I truly loved myself. I would have not tolerated situations and people and experiences if I truly loved myself. If I truly backed myself, believed in my worth, I would have not tolerated that. And so I hand on heart believe that the point that I reached this complete unconditional, heartfelt love for myself, unshakable, was not until around April, May time of this year, which funnily enough is when I started my podcast and this whole business idea in the first place. Everything kind of happened around that time after I left the relationship, funnily enough. And it's funny, because even though I have reached this state of unconditional love towards myself, I still have to have a word with myself now and again, you guys, So when I was saying about the waking up and having the spot on your face and bloated, whatever, I woke up the other day, I actually went onto my stories and spoke about it. I had to have a word with myself in the mirror and look, stop. Just stop talking about yourself like this. Stop saying these horrible things to yourself. Because I woke up, I was due on my period, I was bloated. I could see cellulite on my legs, and I was just like, ugh, awful. And I was actually being really unkind towards myself. And I literally had to stop myself and look in the mirror and have a word with myself and remind myself that this is not how you speak to someone that you love. In fact, that's a really good way of thinking about it. Would you speak to other people the way that you speak to yourself? I think 9 times out of 10 we would not. How are you speaking to yourself? What are the things that you are saying to yourself about yourself? Would you be comfortable to say those to your best friend, your sister, your mum, your child if you have one? Would you say those same things? No, you would not. I would hope not anyway. We can be so unkind to ourselves, and this is about turning that around. But believe me, when I say that it is a continuous journey, and even when you reach that level, you will still have your days where you have to remind yourself, and that is okay. As I've said in previous episodes, we do not reach that level of perfection. It is a myth where we're completely fully healed. We are on this journey until the day that we leave this earth, and that is what's beautiful about it. Embrace it. So we're actually going to talk about forgiveness and how we have to forgive ourselves and have compassion towards ourselves in order to love ourselves and to grow and develop and manifest all that we desire in life, and live an incredible life. We have to do this first. Forgiveness is a huge part of a spiritual journey and in moving forward. Some people go to the extent of forgiving other people. I have heard stories of family members who have forgiven the murderer of a victim in order to move on. Now that, I mean, obviously I've never been in that experience, and that is absolutely horrendous. And I can't imagine doing that. But I understand the concept, because it is an energetic release to move on. You have to forgive. You have to detach from that feeling, from that emotion, from that burden, because all that it is doing is holding you back. So you can actually do other activities with regards to this in actually forgiving other people. But we're just focusing on ourselves today, because I think that's enough, and this is heavy enough. So we'll just focus on ourselves today and complete this activity. So I came across this book back in April of this year. That's kind of when everything happened, isn't it? That's when I wanted to do my podcast. Again, it'll all make sense. But I came across this book. Again, this is not an ad, but I will link it below. It's called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And again, I wish I came across this back in 2020 and did this activity, because it's super vital. I could have skipped a whole lot of time. So, I'm fast tracking you, okay? I'm fast tracking your journey. When I first told my friend that I've done this list of things that I forgive myself for, and she said to me, I can't imagine that you have anything that you need to forgive yourself for, Becky. And obviously, it's not like I've murdered anyone, These aren't detrimental things, but they are things that energetically I have held onto. Now, when we talk about energy, everything is energy. So if we have done anything that we've ever been disappointed in, or something that's not gone our way, or something that we have held onto that we are not happy with for ourselves, that energy is stored within us, and it can hold us back. The basis of self-development is very much on doing your gratitudes, your journaling, your affirmations. And it's all well and good people saying to do these affirmations and to just say, I am happy, I am beautiful. And while I do believe in affirmations, I'm actually going to do an episode on that. They can be quite detrimental if you don't fully believe what you are actually saying, because everything is energy. So yeah, we'll come to that in another episode. But until you have released the past, you cannot really move forward on this journey. And these things can hold you back. So I did this list in this book, and this is an activity that we're actually going to do today. And actually, this will be part of a full course that I am planning to do on the whole glow up journey. This will be a huge part of it, an activity, but we're only going to do a part of it today, and I'm just going to give a little bit away. So I want you to pause this episode shortly and do this activity. Obviously, if you're at the gym, if you're driving, or if you're busy and you can't do this right now, then that's totally fine. But please do it tonight or whenever you can. I highly encourage it. But I want you, in a moment, if you can, to list all of the things that you forgive yourself for. And that might be really hard at first, but honestly, you'd be surprised how your subconscious just takes over. So set up your piece of paper, stating something along the lines of, it doesn't have to be exactly like this, but something along the lines of, from this day forward, I choose to forgive myself for, and you can literally just list it in bullet points or numbers, or if you want to do it in a full like storytelling version, then you can do that as well. Just to give you a few examples of mine to help you. I'm not going to give them all away because some of them are very private. One of the first things that I chose to forgive myself for was my marriage ending. Now, I didn't do anything wrong for my marriage to end. There was nothing really that I needed to forgive myself for when you think of it in that respect. But I carried so much shame, so much guilt. Like, I was so ashamed of my marriage ending. And I needed to forgive myself, not for any specific reason, but just for the fact that it ended. It's time to let that go. It's okay. It ended, you know? So that was one thing that I forgive myself for. And I literally just wrote something like, obviously, from this day forward, I choose to forgive myself for my marriage ending. Another thing that I chose to forgive myself for was leaving my nursing career too early in my business and getting myself into debt. This was, again, something that I was really disappointed in myself for. I felt so much feelings of failure and I had to let that go. It happens for a reason. And at this point in this journey, in this level of forgiveness, we are letting stuff go and moving on, believing that it happened for a reason. And I do. Everything that has happened to me, that I have forgiven myself for, I don't regret any of it because it has led me to the person that I am today, who I am, what I am, and where I am going. I do not regret a single thing on my journey. And some of these, again, they're things that I was really not happy with myself for, but I was choosing to forgive myself, to move on. So some examples that you may use, I don't want to give you too many examples because this really has to come from you, but just in case you are struggling, it could be like if you're a mum, I forgive myself for not being the perfect mum every day because I'm sure a lot of people get mum or dad guilt, you know? I forgive myself for, you know, if you've got a bad diet and you feel really bad about the fact that you've not stuck to your health and fitness journey, that you're not where you want to be in your career, anything, like let them come to you. Honestly, I thought this was going to be really hard when I did it, but as soon as you put pen to paper, it just flows because that is when your subconscious actually speaks for you. It just flows, it comes out. So please pause me now and do this activity. I want you to have at least 10 things that you forgive yourself. I actually came up with 12 at the end and I probably could have gone on longer. Try and do it until the answers no longer come to you so easily. So at the beginning, you kind of just write in quite effortlessly. They just come. When it starts getting a little bit harder and you get to the point where you can't think of anything else, you can stop. So please pause me now. And I'm looking forward to seeing how you get on. Okay, so if you have just done the activity, first of all, well done for putting pen to paper and listing all of the things that you forgive yourself for. This is just an absolutely incredible part of your journey. Like, I promise you this will be life-changing to just release that now, okay? So at the very end of all of your list, I just want you to write a couple of short sentences, maybe a paragraph, and just say, I forgive you. Everything that happened has led me to this day, led me to who I am. I am proud of the person that I am today. Now, I am conscious that maybe some of you here aren't proud of the person that you are. You're at the very beginning of your journey and you feel like maybe your self-esteem, self-worth, everything is in the gutter. If that is the case and you don't feel ready to say it, if you don't feel comfortable in saying that you are happy that it's made you who you are today and where you're at and the life that you've created, you could actually reword this, that I am glad that it has made this day the day that I choose to change, for things to get better, to start my journey, to grow, to improve, anything along those lines. Couple of sentences just to say, I'm so happy and grateful. I do not regret a thing. It has got me to where I am today, but we are letting that go. I am releasing all shame, all guilt. I forgive myself completely and I love myself unconditionally, no matter what. Once you have finished this activity, we are actually going to burn our paper with love. So we're almost having a bit of a ritual ceremony to release everything that we are ready to and to forgive ourselves wholeheartedly and to begin this whole journey of loving ourselves unconditionally. We are letting that go. So you may want to find a beautiful space, maybe a cute corner in your garden. You may want to go to the local park, to the beach, somewhere really pretty where you feel comfortable in letting this go, in releasing this. Being connecting with nature is like an added boost in this situation. So if you can do that, then that's absolutely awesome. And we want to burn this in this place where you feel so beautiful and you are ready to let that go. And that is the activity of forgiveness in order to love ourselves. So, how do we feel after thinking about everything that we have done that we forgive ourselves for? How do we now feel about ourselves, about our future, about our love towards ourselves, our worth, our beauty? We are incredible and we deserve the best. No regrets, no more shoulda, woulda, couldas, no looking back, no wishing, what if. This is where we stand today, and this is the start of an incredible journey. We have let that go in order to propel ourselves forward, and it is going to be beautiful. I'm telling you, it really, really is. So I would love to know how you felt at the very beginning of this podcast when I asked you, do you love yourself? How did you feel? How did you feel about all the things that you forgive yourself for? Was it easy for you to do your list? Did any emotions come up? I really would love to know. Most importantly, please, when you have completed the activity up until the point of, burning your list with so much love and that weight being lifted off your shoulders, I would love to know how you feel now about yourself, about your journey, your past, your mistakes, disappointments, whatever you want to call them. Do you feel differently about them? Do you feel differently about you? Do you feel differently about the next steps going forward? I would love to know. Please, please, please drop some comments, leave some feedback. I really want this to be a joint mutual journey that we are working on together here, because we are all on this journey together. We are all wanting to progress, do better, work on ourselves, heal. And this is a huge part of it today. You have worked on yourself. You have healed a part of yourself. And I'm so, so proud of you. I really, really am. So please feel free to share some feedback if you feel comfortable in doing so. I would love, love, love to know how this has impacted you, whether this has been of benefit. I really hope so. Thank you so, so much for being here. Thank you for continuing to listen, for continuing to share my podcast, spread the word, and thank you for doing the work. Thank you for putting yourself first and believing that you actually do deserve better, because you do. I love you all so, 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 so much. I get so much from doing these podcasts. I cannot wait to spread so much more love, share more and more resources. Together, we can all heal and grow and raise the vibration of the collective, because we deserve it.